Hello, welcome to From the Messy Middle to Becoming His. This space is for women navigating seasons of unexpected transitions. When life doesn't look like the way that you thought it would, and you're just trying to find your footing. I am Marsha, and this series is in part of my own becoming. I'm learning how to rebuild spiritually, mentally, and emotionally when life has shifted in ways that I didn't plan. In this first episode, I want to talk to you about a place I call the messy middle. The messy middle is the space in between what was and what will be. It's not what things used to be, but it's not the breakthrough either. It's that space in between, that space that you're trying to navigate. Is the space in between where life has shifted and the space where you're trying to figure out what is next, what comes next, what happens, how does life look, all the things. Sometimes the messy middle comes right after major things in your life has shifted. Um, a loss of a job, um, a divorce, the death of a spouse, um, something major has shifted, and the future doesn't look the same anymore. It doesn't look like what you envisioned. It doesn't look like what you had planned for. It just doesn't look the same. Something major has changed the trajectory of what your future now looks like. And suddenly you're standing in a place that you never envisioned yourself. You're standing in a place that you never saw before. The messy middle can be extremely disorienting. The ground under you has shifted, and what feels familiar or what felt familiar doesn't feel familiar anymore, and nothing looks the same. And in the messy middle, you ask yourself the questions: what happened next? Who am I now? Where do I belong? What does the next season look like? How do I walk through it? The messy middle, all the questions come to the surface. One of the hardest things about the messy middle is the people around you not fully understanding what you're walking through. They want to be there. Some of them want to be there and they genuinely care, but they just don't quite understand the gravity. They don't quite understand what you're walking through. And then others just want to know. They just want to know for no reason. They just want to know. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit trail. And the next thing about it is, from the outside, to some people, it could look like you're managing and you're handling things well, and you're performing because you're trying to maintain some sense of normalcy. So you're doing the things that you can do that align with what was before, if that makes sense. If you go to church, you go to church. If you normally go to work, you go to work. You're doing the things, you're trying to remain as normal can be. So to some people, it looks like you're okay, but internally, your whole nervous system is shot. Internally, you're trying to gather your nerves together, and it could be simple things. Anything can make you cry. Anything can make you feel despair. Anything can shift your day. You could be having a good day one moment, and then the next moment everything is falling apart. You could be laughing in one moment and then you find yourself crying in the next. If that's the place where you find yourself right now, I want you to know that you're not broken, you're not crazy, you're not alone. It's normal. Everything that you're feeling is normal. Grief is real, and grief comes in different forms. Grief comes from loss of death. Grief comes from loss of a job. Grief comes when major life transition happens. Grief comes in all forms and in all shapes. But the things that you go through is very similar. The feelings is very similar. The emotions that you go through and what your body feels is very similar. One thing that I am learning about the messy middle is it's not the space where you die or you despair. is one of the places where God does his deepest work on the inside of us. Is one of the places, if we allow him, that he reveals himself to us in a way that we've never experienced or encountered before. The messy middle is often where identity is rebuilt, is often where old expectations fall off, and is where God reshapes us and where we begin to have a new understanding of who we are in Christ. Is where God begins to reshape us and reshape the way how we see ourselves. The messy middle isn't where you despair, die, or disappear. It's where you become. If you go with the process, if you go through the emotions, and if you anchor yourself in Christ, it's going to be the place where you become a version of yourself that you never knew existed. And for me, this season of becoming his is about anchoring myself in my identity, not in roles, not in circumstances, but in who God says I am. In this series, we're going to talk about what it means to walk through seasons of transitions with faith. We'll talk about identity, rebuilding, releasing what no longer fits, and learning how to move forward when the path ahead feels uncertain. So, if you're in your own messy middle right now, I want you to know that you don't have to navigate it alone. This space is meant to be a safe and strengthening space, a place where we can reflect, grow, and become together. The middle is not the end of your story, but it is the place where you just may begin your becoming. I will see you in episode 2. Bye.